Hi, this is Katrina Sargent, owner and creator of Devil Doll Custom Creations. Today we're going to be doing a matching tumbler and pin 3D Coco Drip with a 3D topper for CrystaLac users. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. Like always, I will have everything linked in the description below, including my tumbler and pin basic CrystaLac tutorials. Somewhere in this video, I will be offering a discount code, so stay tuned. So you're going to start off with a prepped and painted white tumbler. I'm using CrystaLac glitter glue and this gorgeous white opal from Mr. Nola's glitter. I use a paintbrush and I kind of just slop on my glitter glue. It does dry fast, so kind of work in a timely manner. Especially if you have a handle like I do. I'm going to apply my glue to the whole tumbler and then apply it to my handle, and the handle is the first place I'm going to glitter. You're going to want to make sure your glitter glue isn't pooling on the bottom or the top edge. Just kind of run your paintbrush over it to make sure it doesn't have any massive streaks before you glitter. And then you're going to do the exact same thing for your pin. You are going to be setting these off to the side to dry for about 30 to 40 minutes. This pin adapter is from Imagination 3D. I will have it linked in the description. It is my favorite piece of equipment in my shop. Once those have dried, you're then going to spray them with E6000 Spray, and you're going to do what's called smushing your glitter. You're going to take wax paper after this E6000 has dried for about 15 to 30 minutes, and you're going to add pressure down onto the glitter surface. Do not rub, but you're trying to get your glitter to lay as flat as possible. I do this probably about 3 times before I move on to Brite Tone. The more you do this, the less coats you're going to have to do with Brite Tone, because it's sealing in your glitters and it's forcing the glitters to lay flat. You're going to do the exact same thing for a pin, so I just kind of roll my pin in my wax paper. I use Brite Tone gloss for every coat, but you can use extreme protection on the first couple coats. It is a little bit more budget friendly. So I am squirting a little bit of Brite Tone on my raw glitter and using my gloved hand to rub it. This coat will be the thickest I ever do. You don't want it super duper thick because it could turn yellow, but you want it a little bit thicker to go over this raw glitter. If you're using a handle like I am, I kind of just add a little bit to my hand and rub it along the handle surface, making sure you get around the attached place where the tumbler and the handle meet. That is where the pooling is going to happen on this style of tumbler. If your turner can change direction of turn, I also do that. It helps to make sure you have the entire handle coated and you don't have a bare spot on the opposite side. So I do this every single coat. You can apply your next coat every 4 hours. I do probably 5 to 7 coats before I sand over glitter, just so I don't remove any glitter color. You see how it's pulled up a little bit on those little areas and has turned slightly yellow. I am just taking a craft knife and kind of cutting those places away. When you do this, don't dig too deep because you can remove your glitter and your paint if you go down to your tumbler. But I'm just removing the extra before I sand and move on to the next coat. You will not see I done this once it has another coat on the tumbler. I use an extra fine sanding block that I'm going to be running on the entire tumbler, and then when I get to my handle, I will be switching to a sandpaper sheet. I also have a medium grit sanding block that I'm going to use for my top rim. This is just so you have that little stainless steel rim on your tops, so your CrystaLac attaches to your tumbler and not the top where your lid goes. This is going to help the longevity of using this tumbler. Then if you have any paint spillover or bright tone spillover, just take a craft knife and run it along the top edge. Your fingernail works as well. So this is a 220 sanding paper. I am just going to run along that handle. Since I am using a clear water slide for my decal, I am going to add another coat of Brite tone onto the tumbler so you wouldn't see any scratches from sanding under your water slide paper. Moving on to the pens. I always have my Brite tone in its own little container. And when I'm applying the Brite tone, I apply amount on my glove and then add it to the pen itself. I don't ever try to add Brite tone on the pen as it's turning. I've made a huge mess so many times trying to do that. It didn't work. This is Imagination 3D's pen turner attachment. This can hold 12 pins, and they just click right in and they stay level. It's easy to remove them if you're working on different types of pens. Like I said, this is my favorite thing in my entire shop. Use this discount code to receive 5% off your order. How to make marshmallows. I take this air dough and a piece of freezer paper with the wax side up, and I'm going to kind of take my hand and roll this dough as I'm squishing the top and bottom down with my opposite pointer finger and thumb to get the marshmallow shape. Play around with your sizes. You can make some big, some small, so it looks like they're disintegrating in the cocoa, because they're never going to be the exact same size over and over again. And then I set these off to the side to dry for at least 2 days. If this is too much work, you can always find them on Etsy. So how I make my teeny tiny marshmallows for my pens. You remember when we were kids and we played with Play-Doh and we made like worms and snakes? That's basically the same thing. So I am taking my finger and I am just rolling it along that length to stretch out that dough until I'm happy with the size. Once I'm happy with the thickness, I take a very sharp craft knife and I'm just going to slice away little pieces. These do stick together, so I make sure they are completely separate to dry. If you have any weird shapes, you can kind of roll them with your finger. Now moving on to assemble the topper. This HOGG coffee cup has this type of lid. I am going to attach an acrylic blank onto the lid using super glue and magnets. I do this so the 3D topper is removable for ease of cleaning the lid itself. First, I'm going to attach 2 magnets onto the lid itself. I am just going to be adding a dollop of super glue. Once that is secure, I'm going to add my magnets to my acrylic blank. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to lay the magnets, what I'm going to be gluing onto the acrylic, on top of these magnets that I already have on the lid. Add your glue to the top surface and then apply your acrylic blank on top. Add pressure to your acrylic blank as it sits on these magnets. Make sure your glue is fully dry before you remove the acrylic blank with its two attached magnets. I just add a little bit more glue once it's dry, just to make sure it is 100% secure onto the lid and onto the acrylic blank. So I just take those marshmallows we made and add a little super glue and have them kind of stacked in different positions. I want them to look like it's freestanding and it's sitting in cocoa. Once I have everything on there like I want, I'm going to then add a little bit more super glue to any place that they're touching each other, just to make sure they are attached fully before I move on to my cocoa part of the topper. I use fabric paint in brown, and I am just going to fill in all of that area that the acrylic blank is still visible. You're going to be going under all the marshmallows. Make sure you get it in little crevices so you don't have any open spaces, so it looks like the top of a hot cocoa cup. This is just the first coat, so it doesn't have to be 100% smooth. I am adding one more coat on top of this before I even add the decorations to the top. I let it dry overnight, and then I'm doing my next coat. This is just to kind of even out any massive lumps or bumps you might have. I'm also going to do the edge of the acrylic blank because I don't want it to look clear as you're looking onto it, since this sits up a little higher. To get drips on the marshmallows, I'm using the fabric paint and a little bit of extreme protection. Mix it up to get it to a consistency that you can dribble it over the marshmallow so it looks like fudge or something is poured over it. I personally like using the colorant from CrystaLac and adding a little extreme protection to get that right consistency, so it looks like I have added additional chocolate to my hot chocolate versus the same color as the fabric paint. This is totally up to you. Both look great. And then I am just going to drizzle it over the marshmallows itself. And then on top of that, I'm going to add my sprinkles. I have these cute little peppermints and white sprinkles. I also add some of my little marshmallows I made for my pens in random places on top while this is still wet. Then I let this dry for a couple hours before I move on to fully sealing this entire topper. And then I set this on wax paper or freezer paper for a few hours or overnight to fully dry, and then you're going to have some spillover. So you can take your fingernail or a craft knife and kind of remove any of the extra. I am just taking a little bit of Brite tone in a little medicine cup and going to paint brush it over the entire topper. You're going to want to keep your coats fairly thin, so I probably do 7 coats just to make sure everything is completely sealed and you're not going to have any moisture or anything get under this Brite tone. Keep the coats thin because you can get pooling around those little decorations, or your marshmallows can start to have a yellow tint. So now moving on to my decal. I have printed this out on clear water slide paper. For mugs that have a handle, you need to be aware of if they're left-handed or right-handed and which direction do you want the decal to face. If you don't have a handle, you don't really have to think about this. So I've added my clear water slide to a container of lukewarm water until it releases from the backing. Add a little bit of water onto your tumbler and then remove the backing sheet. You're going to then take a cotton glove or coffee filter, something to remove the water and air that's caught between your decal and your tumbler. This mug has kind of a curved shape, so I just took my craft knife and kind of made little slits in the water slide. This will help it to lay on that curved surface better. And then make sure it is straight and centered, or you want to take your cotton glove or coffee filter and remove all extra water, including any droplets that could be around the tumbler itself, not just the water slide. Let your water slides dry for a few hours, and then I'm adding that 3D fabric paint to create that 3D drip. I have my sprinkles, I have my little marshmallows. So I add pretty decent amount of this fabric paint on the entire top edge of my tumbler. I'm keeping in mind I don't want the front to drip as much as I want the back to drip. So I'll add more on the back part, and then once I have it fully covered, I'm going to tap it on my work surface, and that's what's going to cause that paint to drip like hot cocoa. And then take a baby wipe and remove any paint you have on that silver rim so your CrystaLac attaches to your tumbler still. Add your sprinkles, any marshmallows you made, add those while it's wet so they attach to that hot cocoa drip. I'm going to do the exact same thing for my pen version. When you go to apply Brite tone over these little sprinkles, keep your coats very thin. If you do too thick, you will get like this pooling around. You can sand and back down around those little sprinkles, but you want to make sure it's nice and thin. You don't have to fix that later. You can kind of use your finger and go around each little sprinkle as well. That kind of helps. Going to want to do 3 to 5 coats just to make sure this is all sealed in as well. I hope everyone liked this tutorial. I hope you learned something new. Please like, share, subscribe. It means the world to me. And if you have any questions or comments or concerns, please write them in the comments. I do write back. Please hit that bell notification so you're notified every time I post a new video, which is every Wednesday, except around holidays. And thank you everyone for your continued support.